We hold these truths to be self-evident. That all men are created equal. That they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
And welcome to another For Liberty's Sake. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Eric Thompson out here in California, September 7th, 2021. Over 100 degrees again, 103. We broke the record. Most days over 100 here in the Central Valley of California, and a year in a 1 year period. Thank you for joining me. If you want to get a hold of me, you can always email me at eric@forlibertysake.com, eric@forlibertysake.com. And the two sponsors for our podcast here, number one, mypillow.com. Make sure you check out mypillow.com. Support Mike Lindell. I've got a lot of his products. They're all awesome. When you get over there, when you go to checkout, you can save up to 66% by using our promo code of FLS for Liberty's Sake. The first three letters, FLS, mypillow.com. Please check them out. Also, if you want to get a smartphone that is not tracked by Apple or Google, you can upgrade to a Freedom phone. Go to freedomphone.com. Check it out. It's just like your Android, except it's got its own operating system that's not Android, so they can't track you. If you decide to get the phone like dozens of people have so far this last month, use our promo code SAVE to save $50. Easy as that. Today we're going to go over I don't even know how to say it. I guess we can say confusion around COVID. But I really think we're getting to a point where the left needs to acknowledge that this whole COVID lockdown has run its course. It accomplished temporarily what they wanted it to do, which was to really paralyze the economy, force people to seek government assistance, and to turn on Donald Trump when he was president. But there's been numerous public officials in the last year plus that have no problem and have had no problem having dinners with people with no social distancing, no mask on, no vaccines. You know, they maybe could be like Governor Newsom, or could be a Nancy Pelosi, where she wants people wearing masks in the chamber up at the House of Representatives. She wants to do all this testing, but then she went to a salon in San Francisco without a mask on and had them do beauty services on her and cut her hair while nobody else was allowed to open as a salon in town. Anthony Fauci, Mr. COVID himself, went to a baseball game last summer, had his mask pulled down, joking around. Now Joe Biden, just he'll lose his mask. Where'd I put my mask? Doesn't put on a mask. Will put on a mask when he's doing a Zoom call with world leaders. Yes, he's wearing a mask when they are all on Zoom. Why? Or him and Harris and Blinken do a press conference and everyone's vaccinated and they all wear masks. But then you get to like this. And I wrote about this on my finishtherace.com. I write political articles, finishtherace.com, also starting a Christian podcast there. But I wrote about that Joe was smiling during his Labor Day activities of, giving ice cream to union guys. High fives, shaking hands, taking selfies. no mask on. The guys he was taking the pictures with, no mask on. Kind of confused about that. Because Dr. Fauci is saying that you should still be wearing masks. That the kids who can't get it and die from it should be wearing masks. Teachers screaming at kids in schools for not wearing a mask, calling them names. One teacher taping the mask on some of the kids in their classroom, including an additional one running from the forehead down over the mouth. Because how dare them for not wearing a mask? So, the president of the United States, the guy that just abandoned thousands of Americans and Afghanis who had visas to escape the torment of the Taliban, the guy that left everybody behind, the guy that has no conscience, which is why I think he's a psychopath. But there's several articles out, one here from the Gateway Pundit, Christiane Taylor. In your face, maskless Joe Biden pals around with maskless union members on Labor Day. Joe Biden and his entire administration entourage all wore masks at Dover Air Force Base 2 Sundays ago for the outdoors dignified transfer ceremony of 11 of the 13 service members killed in the August 26 terror attack at Kabul airport, which he caused. Joe Biden had those people killed by his decisions. They were killed because of him. But even though everyone that was at the event was already vaccinated against COVID, and there was a stiff breeze making the chance of transmission basically impossible, but it was a nationally televised event. So Joe put a mask on for COVID theater. Last year when Fauci was doing the press conferences every day, several times they would have him before the press conference, no mask on. Camera's about to come on, throws a mask on. Cameras go off goes the mask. And yet they want us to believe that anyone who won't wear a mask or take the COVID shots want to kill people. But they've been leaving their mask off around people pretty much the whole time. But that's okay. So if you flash forward to yesterday, there was a maskless Joe Biden, and he spent time on Labor Day palling around with a group of maskless, mostly white male union members in Wilmington, Delaware, where he delivered lunch, for a photo op, that he was hanging around the average person, the union worker. Pool video posted by the AP shows Biden in close quarters with the union members. Listen to this. Hugging, high-fiving, shaking hands, and posing for photos shoulder to shoulder, holding and speaking into the cell phone of a union member. No social distancing, no hand sanitizer in sight. Only people seen wearing masks were Biden's Secret Service detail. But Biden was back to his COVID theater Tuesday morning, today, because he wearing a mask as he walked out of the White House, dropping it below his chin to speak to reporters. Why wear it? Ever. But then he put it back up as he walked across the lawn to Marine One. Can you see the insanity here? Where it's when people lie and they're trying to remember their lies and then they forget and then they go back in and out. So think about it. Wears mask at an event with troops coming back that died because of him. Wind blowing through, open area, really impossible to get COVID, but he has a mask on. Then he goes to the event, all of his union buddies, white guys hanging around, no mask on, high fives, hugs, pictures, everything. No mask. But his Secret Service has a mask on. But then now he's like, okay, well, I've got to walk outside And so I better put a mask on for the cameras. And then I'm going to pull my mask down. You can see it on the hill. Pulls the mask down completely. Speaks to him. Now he's going to walk across the lawn to a helicopter, to Air Force One. And he puts his mask back on. And I think that is one of the reasons why people are really, really getting fed up with this mask issue, is that their actions, the actions of the leadership, shows that they don't have any fear of COVID. But the establishment through the media would make you think the opposite, that they are terrified that everyone's going to die, so that people should follow their mandates even though they're not wearing masks. But, I mean, this is Joe Biden. See, Joe doesn't know. And we talk about this a lot on the podcast. And unfortunately, because it's day to day, I'm kind of just letting you know that this is not getting better. Joe was he was using note cards again today, and he still gets lost. How do you do that? How do you sit down with note cards, President of the United States, and you get lost? I said, Christina Later wrote this from Gateway. She said it was painful to watch. Joe Biden on Tuesday traveled to Queens, New York, and Hillsborough Township, New Jersey, on Tuesday to survey the flooding from Hurricane Ida. Why did Joe Biden do this? Number one, he had to. They had to get him out of the basement. Number two, they needed him to mumble something about the world's ending because of climate change. That's why Joe doesn't care. He doesn't care about the people. That's why he's looking at note cards. He can't even talk to the people like humans. Biden received a hurricane briefing from Somerset County, New Jersey leaders and delivered remarks on so-called climate change. And here's what they told Joe to say. The climate change was to blame for hurricanes, tornadoes, wildfires, and droughts. No proof, but it's happening. But Dementia Joe relied on no cards as he incoherently rambled about climate change, and he still got lost. As a matter of fact, there's a Breitbart article we'll get to that he actually, that's in this article too. At one point, Joe suggested the state of Nevada is in the middle of the country. And he got confused over the flooding in Iowa last year. Nevada, Joe's not in the middle of the country by any means. That would be Iowa. Quote, it looks like a tornado, but they don't call them anymore. Biden said of the severe storm, a derecho in Iowa. You heard that right. It looks like a tornado, but they don't call them anymore. Joe Biden, what do they call tornadoes? Oh man, I guess I'm going to play the video. I'm going to make you suffer through it. So here is Joe talking about climate change because he was supposed to say this.
For decades, scientists have warned of extreme weather would be more extreme, and climate change was here, and we're living through it now. We don't have any more time. I hope no one, I've been on the telephone or on the road an awful lot between California, Idaho, New Orleans, not New Orleans, Louisiana, but in New Orleans, Mississippi, and, here. I mean, every part of the country is getting hit by extreme weather. And we're now living in real time what the country's going to look like And if we don't do something, we can't turn it back very much, but we can prevent it from getting worse. And so we're all in this together, and we've got to make sure that we don't leave any community behind. And it's all across the country. You know, the members of Congress know from their colleagues in Congress that, looks like a tornado, they don't call them that anymore, that hit the crops and wetlands in the middle of the country, and Iowa and Nevada, and I mean, it's just across the board. And
Joe he's just struggling. If you try to picture, he's sitting next to a pallet of bottled water. He's staring down at his note cards. He's trying to look up, and he's just trying to say something, but it's just like, well, there are tornadoes and wetlands. Okay, I'm from Iowa. We're not known for wetlands. That would be Louisiana. That would be other parts of the country. But then because he remembered Iowa, so then he says, well, middle of the country. Well, now he's throwing Nevada in there, but maybe he didn't mean to. But we don't know because he's too busy umming and humming, trying to say, well, we don't want to leave any state behind. But Joe just left thousands of people behind in Afghanistan, and the State Department won't let 6 planes of American citizens and Afghanis with appropriate visas to leave, to go to Qatar. And this is going to continue, unfortunately, but I only play these things so you know that it's not Joe. It's not Joe leading the country. I don't know who it is. It's whoever writes those note cards, which shows then he has to try to read them. You think he would have read them a couple times before, so he wouldn't look so foolish. But, well, what can you do? Okay, hey, we're going to go to our sponsors here. Make sure MyPillow.com, our promo code is FLS. If you go to them during the podcast here, MyPillow.com, great deals, FLS. And then FreedomPhone.com, promo code is SAVE.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm going to pass the savings directly on to you. Go to MyPillow.com right now to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. For example, you can get my premium MyPillows, regularly $69.98, now just $29.98, the lowest price ever.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Name one time in history where the people who banned books, media, and opinions were the good guys. Hi, I'm Eric. I'm the world's youngest Bitcoin millionaire. I made it in Silicon Valley, and I've accomplished a lot in my life already. But now, I'm leaving big tech to fight for free speech. Because the big tech overlords are violating your privacy, censoring your speech, and I think that's so wrong. That's why I created the Freedom Phone and its uncensorable app store. Everyone is complaining about big tech censorship, but no one is doing anything about it. They say, build your own phone. So I did. Freedom Phone truly is the best phone in the world. It does everything your current phone does, except censor you and spy on you. With the Freedom Phone, your freedom of speech is our #1 priority. That's why we built our own app store that is completely uncensored. If an app you love has been banned from the mainstream app stores, you can still download it on ours because we don't ban apps, period. And we've developed the first operating system based on your free speech. There's no app tracking, no keyboard tracking, and no location tracking, because I believe in your security. How do we ensure you're being protected? Say hello to Trust. Trust is our privacy guard. It's designed to warn you whenever an app or a website is tracking you and gives you the option to stop it. Your data, your rules. That's our motto. The Freedom Phone is comparable to the best smartphones on the market. It has an edge-to-edge screen, a super fast processor, and multiple cameras. And your SIM card transfers into the Freedom Phone seamlessly. Big tech companies hold a monopoly on public communication and the dissemination of information, and they are abusing that power. Nobody elected Mark or Jack to be the arbiters of truth in America, yet they still thought it was okay to ban a sitting president from their platforms. If they censor a president, they will censor anyone. Imagine if Mark Zuckerberg censored MLK or Abraham Lincoln. The course of history would have been altered forever. Out of all the constitutional amendments, there's a reason why the Founding Fathers made the right to free speech the very first. I believe you have a voice that deserves to be heard without being censored. Protect yourself from big tech censorship. Let your voice be heard. Live free with the Freedom Phone.
Hey, and thank you so much for staying with me. A little mystery here, because we're trying to figure out what's up with Joe. I already went over Joe. Joe's walking around, right? He's walking around, going up to the reporters earlier I told you about, and he's before he went out, put his mask back on and went over to the walked over to the helicopter. But there's another little story here that took place that Joe, when he walked up to the reporters, you'd have to see the photos. You can look at him at Gateway Pundit or Breitbart. But he literally has his mask down by his throat. He pulled his mask down so far, way below his chin. So when he's speaking to the reporters before he puts his mask back on, before he walks over a lawn to a helicopter with his mask on, the reporters had asked him, they asked him, Mr. President, do you plan on meeting the Afghan refugees? And listen to Joe's answer here.
Do you plan to meet the Afghan refugees here in the United States? Do you plan to meet the Afghan refugees?
Do I plan to meet them?
Yes.
Well, they're all over the country, and I'll be sure I'll be seeing some of them.
And Mr. President, Mr. President.
Pretty simple question, Joe. Are you gonna do a press op? Are you going to be seen, meet some of the refugees so you can show how compassionate you are, even though you're not? But Joe's answer before he turns around and put his mask on, they are all over the country. I'm sure I will be meeting some of them. Now, this isn't the craziest thing Joe said by any means, but it just shows you his lack of, am I going to meet them? They're all over the place. I'm sure I'm going to meet some of them. Then he kind of waddles, takes his mask, covers his face up. Again, why this constant barrage of pointing out Biden's issues? It's because I think it allows you to see a trend, and it's still up in the air on does he, because of his pride, try to do this for 3.5 more years? Or is he going to just, because a lot of people think he's going to, maybe he'll drop out after the midterms. But the more I watch Joe Biden, I cannot see him voluntarily resigning, because it would be such a slam and would permanently put him in the history books as being weak, sickly. So he should. And for a while there, I thought, well, yeah, maybe they'll just try to get him through the midterms, but I don't. It's about Joe. It's not about the country. It's not about people in Afghanistan that were left behind. It's about Joe. And Joe, just there's no way in his narcissistic mind that I can see right now that he would give up the presidency and then be put in the record books with that type of historical reference. I just don't see it. Now, when it comes to the mask, now this one is going to be a little more, I think it's serious. Nothing funny at all about the way that Fauci, Dr. Anthony Fauci, NIH director, 40 years up around Capitol Hill, that he's been lying during this COVID process and then hiding it. More proof came out through a Freedom of Information Act. Oops, Fauci. Now, nothing will happen probably. But it's important to know this because if you look at Australia, if you look at Canada, if you look at some of these nations where they're going like psycho lockdown, and I told you about the crazy teachers. There's even an article here that Rutgers told a student, you cannot even attend online classes unless you get vaccinated. In Australia, one of their politicians says, we're going to be a vaccinated population, so if for people who don't want to be vaccinated, you don't get to participate in life. Breitbart has an article out. Top scientists claim Anthony Fauci untruthful about the Chinese lab research. Gateway Pundit says Fauci lied again. Dr. Rand Paul, Senator Dr. Rand Paul, reacted to the new FOIA documents showing that Fauci funded, now listen, he funded the construction of chimeric coronaviruses in the Wuhan lab. You may have also, about a week or two ago, they found out that Fauci, through the NIH, funded putting maggots in dogs and having them get eaten up and documenting how long that took. He funded that. But I just heard Senator Paul on Sean Hannity's show, but it says here that Rand Paul said the newly released documents revealing Fauci funded the chimeric coronaviruses proved once again he lied to Congress. Fauci has repeatedly denied the NIH-funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan. I'd never heard of gain-of-function research until Fauci. It's where they took an old virus, and then they said a SARS virus killed I don't know, 15% of the people. Wasn't that contagious. And then they went and somebody in a lab modified it, combining it with another virus from a cave, along with some people were thinking something from the AIDS virus to make it very transmittable. And you have COVID-19. So what happened is the National Institutes of Health gave, to try to create layers of protection for themselves, would give grants and give money to private organizations to do work. So Fauci is able to say, when he first testified, well, people have looked at it and they're saying with me that wasn't gain of research. Or, I didn't pay for it. They're lies, but he's trying to mask himself. The Intercept, it's an online paper. It's Intercept, humanevents.com. Humanevents.com had an article about it. Intercept obtained 900 pages of Wuhan documents through a Freedom of Information Act request, revealing Fauci lied about his role funding gain and function research. And if you go over to theintercept.com, you can see the article, the actually main article. It says new details emerge about coronavirus research at Chinese lab. More than 900 pages of materials related to U.S.-funded coronavirus research in China were released following a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit by The Intercept. Newly released documents provide details of U.S.-funded research on several types of coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology in China. The Intercept has obtained more than 900 pages of documents detailing the work of EcoHealth Alliance, a U.S.-based health organization that used federal money to fund bat coronavirus research at the Chinese laboratory. The trove of documents, including 2 previously unpublished grant proposals that were funded by, the National Institutes of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, as well as project updates relating to EcoHealth Alliance research, which has been scrutinized and increased interest in the origins of the pandemic. The documents were released in connection with the ongoing Freedom of Information Act litigation by The Intercept against the National Institutes of Health. Quote, this is the roadmap to the high-risk research that could have led to the current pandemic, said Gary Ruskin, executive director of U.S. Right to Know, a group that has been investigating the origins of COVID-19. One of the grants, titled Understanding the Risk of Bat Coronavirus Emergence. One of the grants, we want to understand the risk of bat coronavirus emergence, outlines an ambitious effort by EcoHealth Alliance President Peter Dask to screen thousands of bat samples for novel coronaviruses. The research also involves screening people who work with live animals. Documents contain several critical details about the research in Wuhan, including the fact that the key experimental work with humanized mice was conducted at a biosafety level 3 lab in Wuhan University Center for Animal Experiment, not at the Wuhan Institutes of Virology. The bat coronavirus grant provided from Fauci provided EcoHealth Alliance with a total of $3.1 million, including $599,000 that the Wuhan Institute of Virology used in part to identify and alter bat coronaviruses likely to infect humans. Surprise, surprise. Fauci lied again, Rand Paul said in a tweet on Tuesday. Today, quote, and I was right about his agency funding novel coronavirus research at Wuhan, unquote, the Kentucky senator added. Fox News is reporting that Paul's tweet followed a story in The Intercept that I just read part of it to you that revealed the U.S. government pumped $3.1 million into the American health organization EcoHealth Alliance to back bat coronavirus research at Wuhan Institute of Virology. Also in that report, almost $600,000 of federal money was partially used by the VIW to find and alter bat coronaviruses that could jump to humans and infect them. The documents make it clear that assertions by the NIH director Francis Collins and the NIAID director Anthony Fauci that the NIH did not support gain of function research or potential pandemic pathogen enhancement at VIW are untruthful, Rutgers University chemical biology professor Richard Ebright said. Again, quote, the documents make it clear that assertions by the NIH director, Francis Collins, and NIAID director, Anthony Fauci, that the National Institutes of Health did not support gain-of-function research or potential pandemic pathogen enhancement at the lab via the WIV are untruthful. So Fauci lies, and he just got busted again because of the Intercept through litigation getting access to what actually happened, which just confirmed what Dr. Rand Paul's been saying and what he got Dr. Fauci to say under oath to the Senate committee didn't happen. And Fauci knows it. But all Fauci says is, I didn't pay for it. The National Institutes of Health didn't pay for it. No. It was a third party. Because, yes, the money came from grants from my National Institutes of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, my NIAID, but that work was actually done through EcoHealth. So I didn't do it. It was EcoHealth. And the way that me and my boys are looking at it, we weren't actually doing gain of function. Even though the research was to figure out how to take a virus in a bat, make it transmittable to humans, and make it infectious, more infectious to humans and transmittable. But that's not increasing the deadliness or the danger that this virus would impose on people, which is a lie. As a matter of fact, if you look at this Peter Daszak, AON, I forgot her name, darn it. Liz Wheeler did a really good YouTube video on this. This Peter Daszak, the president of EcoHealth Alliance, actually was the one that he was able to get his peers in the industry of virology to put out a paper that anyone that said that the coronavirus came from anything but a market of animals and from bats from a cave, anyone that said it didn't come from natural causes in its final form was wrong. So the guy who took the money from Fauci and used the money to weaponize and morph this into this coronavirus COVID-19, so it was increased in functionality. When it first broke, tried to run around and say, hey, from our association, publish this everywhere and tell everybody this case is closed. We, the professionals, have looked into it, and it definitely came from a bat in a cave or at a market, when he was actually the one that was making the money and created it. So he's the monster, and he tried to create a smokescreen so nobody would look inside the cave. But we know Fauci's dirty. We know Fauci keeps trying to keep everything locked down. He keeps talking about new strains. He's trying to keep people from going to sporting events, churches, anything. When the whole time he funded would end up being COVID-19. And Dr. Paul's been calling him out. You're a liar. You're a liar. Rutgers University chemical biology professor said, you know what? These documents make it clear that Francis Collins, NIH director, and Fauci from the NIAID, they're lying. He did it. He tried to do it more professional. Tried to do it more. They were untruthful. No, they lied. Breitbart, top scientist claims Fauci was untruthful. Same thing. It's about the from Rutgers. Here's actually let me play a little bit of the clip of Fauci calling. This is a Dr. Paul calling out Fauci and Fauci lying about it. Oh, it's going to do a so commercial first, so we'll give it here in a second. You're going to have Dr. Paul I don't know if this is one where he says, Dr. Fauci, do you want to recant what you said? Because you're basically lying under oath. Here we go.
Dr. Fauci, as you are aware, it is a crime to lie to Congress. Section 1001 of the U.S. Criminal Code creates a felony and a 5-year penalty for lying to Congress. On your last trip to our committee on May 11th, you stated that the NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain-of-function research in the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And yet, gain-of-function research was done entirely in the Wuhan Institute by Dr. Shi and was funded by the NIH. I'd like to ask unanimous consent to insert into the record the Wuhan virology paper entitled Discovery of a Rich Gene Pool of Bat SARS-Related Coronaviruses. Please deliver a copy of the journal article to Dr. Fauci. In this paper, Dr. Shi credits the NIH and lists the actual number of the grant that she was given by the NIH. In this paper, she took 2 bat coronavirus genes.
Where can you find hope?
Okay, well, we'll come back to it here in a second then. So he's basically giving Fauci the document, and he's giving him a chance. Okay, Fauci, you're going to look at this with me, but the data's coming out, and Dr. Chi said that, yes, here is the paperwork that gave me the funding and the instructions to do the gain-of-function research, and on it was the fund number from Fauci's group. And let's hear what Fauci has to say.
Spike genes, and combined them with a SARS-related backbone to create new viruses that are not found in nature. These lab-created viruses were then shown to replicate in humans. These experiments combine genetic information from different coronaviruses that infect animals but not humans to create novel artificial viruses able to infect human cells. Viruses that in nature only infect animals were manipulated in the Wuhan lab to gain the function of infecting humans. This research fits the definition of the research that the NIH said was subject to the pause in 2014 to 2017, a pause in funding on gain of function. But the NIH failed to recognize this, defines it away, and it never came under any scrutiny. Dr. Richard E. Bright, a molecular biologist from Rutgers, described this research in Wuhan as the Wuhan lab used NIH funding to construct novel chimeric SARS-related coronaviruses able to infect human cells and laboratory animals. This is high-risk research that creates new potential pandemic pathogens that exist only in the lab, not in nature. This research matches, these are Dr. E. Bright's words, this research matches, indeed epitomizes, the definition of gain-of-function research, done entirely in Wuhan, for which there was supposed to be a federal pause. Dr. Fauci, knowing that it is a crime to lie to Congress, do you wish to retract your statement of May 11th where you claimed that the NIH never funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan?
Senator Paul, I have never lied before the Congress.
Microphone.
Your microphone.
Senator Paul, I have never lied before the Congress, and I do not retract that statement. This paper that you are referring to was judged by qualified staff up and down the chain as not being gain of function. Let me finish.
You take an animal virus and you increase its transmissibility to humans, right. You're saying that's not gain of function?
Yeah, that is correct. And Senator Paul, you do not know what you are talking about, quite frankly. And I want to say that officially. You do not know what you are talking about. Okay, you get
NIH,
one person.
Let's read from the NIH definition of gain of function. This is your definition that you guys wrote. It says that scientific research that increases the transmissibility among mammals. is gain of function. They took animal viruses that only occur in animals, and they increased their transmissibility to humans. How you can say that is not gain of function?
It is not.
It's a dance, and you're dancing around this because you're trying to obscure responsibility for 4 million people dying around the world from a pandemic.
And let's send Dr. Fauci.
I have to, well, now you're getting into something. If the point that you are making is that the grant that was funded as a sub-award from EcoHealth to Wuhan created SARS-CoV-2, that's where you are getting. Let me finish.
We don't know.
Well,
we don't
wait
know
a minute.
If it did come from the lab, but all the evidence is pointing that it came from the lab, and there will be responsibility for those who funded the lab, including yourself.
I totally
This committee will allow the witness to respond.
I totally resent the lie that you are now propagating, Senator, because if you look at the viruses that were used in the experiments, that were given in the annual reports, that were published in the literature, it is molecularly impossible.
No one's saying those viruses caused it.
It
no
is
one is
molecularly.
that those viruses caused the pandemic. What we're alleging is that gain-of-function research was going on in that lab, and NIH funded it.
That is
you can't
not.
Get away from it. It meets your definition, and you are obfuscating the truth.
There you go. So that is what these new documents that are just released through a Freedom of Information Act request from The Intercept was, hey, Fauci, when you say, Senator Paul, you don't know what you're talking about. You're a liar. I'm insulted. And then the documents come out. Yeah, you actually did. $3 million. It was gain of function research, and it was enhancing the transmissibility. So Fauci's in it deeper than he ever has been before. And obviously, if there was a attorney general, if there was a Congress that wanted to hold him accountable, then Fauci would be in some deep doo-doo. But that's not the case. You have them worried about Texas abortion laws instead of worrying about the fact that millions of people died because of NIH funding, the enhancing of a bat virus, which has killed millions of people. And it's all on Fauci. All right, I'm going to go to our sponsors one more time. Again, FLS for MyPillow.com, FLS, and SAVE for FreedomPhone.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got my pillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm going to pass the savings directly on to you. Go to MyPillow.com right now to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. For example, you can get my premium MyPillows, regularly $69.98, now just $29.98, the lowest price ever.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Name one time in history where the people who banned books, media, and opinions were the good guys. Hi, I'm Eric. I'm the world's youngest Bitcoin millionaire. I made it in Silicon Valley, and I've accomplished a lot in my life already. But now, I'm leaving big tech to fight for free speech. Because the big tech overlords are violating your privacy, censoring your speech, and I think that's so wrong. That's why I created the Freedom Phone and its uncensorable app store. Everyone is complaining about big tech censorship, but no one is doing anything about it. They say, build your own phone. So I did. Freedom Phone truly is the best phone in the world. It does everything your current phone does, except censor you and spy on you. With the Freedom Phone, your freedom of speech is our #1 priority. That's why we built our own app store that is completely uncensored. If an app you love has been banned from the mainstream app stores, you can still download it on ours because we don't ban apps, period. And we've developed the first operating system based on your free speech. There's no app tracking, no keyboard tracking, and no location tracking because I believe in your security. How do we ensure you're being protected? Say hello to Trust. Trust is our privacy guard. It's designed to warn you whenever an app or a website is tracking you and gives you the option to stop it. Your data, your rules. That's our motto. The Freedom Phone is comparable to the best smartphones on the market. It has an edge-to-edge screen, a super fast processor, and multiple cameras. And your SIM card transfers into the Freedom Phone seamlessly. Big tech companies hold a monopoly on public communication and the dissemination of information, and they are abusing that power. Nobody elected Mark or Jack to be the arbiters of truth in America, yet they still thought it was okay to ban a sitting president from their platforms. If they censor a president, they will censor anyone. Imagine if Mark Zuckerberg censored MLK or Abraham Lincoln. The course of history would have been altered forever. Out of all the constitutional amendments, there's a reason why the Founding Fathers made the right to free speech the very first. I believe you have a voice that deserves to be heard without being censored. Protect yourself from big tech censorship. Let your voice be heard. Live free with the Freedom Phone.
Thank you so much for staying with me as we finish up our podcast here. You're just joining. You're late, but hey, this is for liberty's sake. All right, so we've been going over the left's insanity on the mask issue. Joe's running all over the place. No mask on. Doesn't know when to put it on, when not to put it on. They don't have vaccines, but everybody else should have vaccines. And it's insanity. Well, then, we just got done listening to Fauci, Dr. Fauci. Went back in time a little bit and had him getting grilled by Dr. Rand Paul about, you know what, you're lying. You're lying about what happened at the Wuhan lab from the money that the NIH, that you basically funded research, and then the president of EcoHealth went ahead and got people to put out a industry letter to give to all the media. Oh, if anybody thinks that the COVID-19 was manufactured, that it wasn't just a natural occurrence, then you're wrong. So don't even look any farther. This is way back March, April of 20. So Fauci gives the money. Now you got to remember, real quick, Obama administration actually put an end and said the NIH could not fund gain of research. So you can't do it anymore, Fauci. This is risky. In 2014. 2017, when the Trump team gets in, Fauci runs over and says, oh, by the way, I'm going to be reintroducing and needing funding. I'm going to be giving funding for gain of function research. What, you're going to do what? Huh? We're still unpacking. Okay, Dr. Fauci, we trust you because you've been around a long time. And that started the ball, which finalized the creation of COVID-19, which was released to the world and killed millions of people. And Fauci was lying through his teeth. No, that's how you're defining it. And Paul says, well, but by definition, you said that if you go from animal transmittability, being able to transmit from animal to animal to animal to human, that's increasing. That's a gain of function increase by your own definition. No, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. 900 more pages hit. Dr. Paul Wright, Fauci, a double, triple liar. But it's how the left rolls. They can make up their own terms. Let's finish with this. The Democratic states the blue states, had increased taxes, and the real estate got real expensive, and so to make sure that they could be able to benefit from having expensive real estate by taking huge tax deductions, they passed these. Okay, well, we're going to expand the deduction. It's called a state and local tax, a SALT deduction. We're going to increase it, and we're going to allow that basically up to $100,000 per year. But when Trump came in, he's like, "No, you're not going to be able to take these huge deductions because you ran up the cost of real estate and taxes in your state, liberals. So we're going to cap it to $10,000. So that the most you could take deductions $10,000. But now they're like, well, that means people like in California, New York, and New Jersey just got huge tax increases because their amount they were able to deduct dropped 90%. It's not people in Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri, Louisiana's fault that the Democrats have driven up the cost of living so excessively. So there's an article here from Breitbart. Democrats demand tax cut for wealthy blue states. Here's your hypocrisy. We want to help the middle class. We want to help the people of color, the low-income people, the illegal aliens. This is from Sean Moran. Representative Thomas Suozzi, Democrat in New York, said Tuesday he would not support the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill. Democrats would not increase the state and local SALT deduction, which primarily benefits wealthy Democratic states. No SALT, no deal, the House Ways and Means Committee members said Tuesday. The committee, which writes tax policy, would have a large sway over crafting the infrastructure bill. I'm pushing for a full repeal. Republicans had limited the SALT deduction to decrease most Americans' taxes with the Trump Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. The Trump tax bill limited the SALT cap to $10,000. Increasing the SALT cap would primarily benefit taxpayers making over $100,000 a year in many blue states, including California, New York, and New Jersey. Who's supporting increasing it up to, oh, no, we got to. Basically, he wants to repeal it to where there's unlimited deductions on real estate. So if you have a $4 or $5 million house, you can deduct tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. I don't even know. I don't know what kind of. I never made that kind of money. But many prominent Democrats also support raising this SALT deduction. Chuck Schumer, Bill Purcell, New Jersey, Mickey Sherrill, New Jersey, and Speaker Nancy Pelosi, California. But they care about the small person, the little person, right? So when you talk to your liberal friends, say, well, looks like the Democrats aren't going to sign up on this $3.5 trillion unless rich people in the expensive states, because of bad policy, can get the state and local tax, the SALT deduction, basically to be unlimited, no longer capped to $10,000, but unlimited. Bernie Sanders said this spring that raising the SALT cap would send a terrible message. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez called it that it's a giveaway to the rich. However, Democrats passed the budget resolution, which contained language that would allow the Democratic chamber to raise the deduction. So there you go. Without it, if she doesn't raise it for the rich people, then it's not going to pass. And so you can expect it. So Biden wasn't wearing a mask, breaking all the COVID rules. Fauci got busted, confirmed that he's been lying. And the left wants to hook up their rich friends. They want to hook them up. But what's new? Hey, thank you again for listening. This has been For Liberty's Sake. Again, if you want to get a hold of me, Eric at forlibertysake.com. My sponsors, MyPillow.com, FLS, and from FreedomPhone.com, SAVE. I'll see you tomorrow.